Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is DJ the Money Coach. I'm sitting here in the middle of the Chicago highway. Look at this. Columbus Drive, the Buckingham Fountain, the skyline. It's amazing. The Prudential Building, the John Hancock Building, the Sears Tower, the Americana Congress Hotel, Columbia. Hey, you can only do this if you're free. That's right. And how do you get free? 4 dirty little words: discipline, accountability, plug into a system, go to work. 3 years to 5 years, you can be consumer debt free, 800 credit score, 6-figure passive income, and a 7-figure net worth if you're willing to do the work. And most importantly, you can keep it all. But you gotta plug in the system to be 100% you and get that pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. Come join us on the Beaches of the World Club. I'm DJ the Money Coach. I'll see you in the next webinar. Get free.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the DJ the Money Coach Financial Expert Series, brought to you by the 7 Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us. And before we get started, like the video, share it, and help us get to 1,000 subscribers by subscribing to the 7 Spheres of Money on YouTube. So we're here with another phenomenal expert, and I'm going to let DJ go ahead and introduce him and jump into this conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, hey, welcome everybody back to the Financial Expert Series with DJ the Money Coach, yours truly. And like always, our goal is to bring you high quality financial experts in our family and our community to break down the myth that these things just don't happen on a regular, which they are. The regular happens in our community. So today we have a very special guest that had the pleasure of meeting on a tour with Erica Williams of the Classy Climb. And this guy is very well accomplished. And man, if I was able to accomplish as much as he accomplished at his age, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. To be honest with you, I'd be living the pom-pom lifestyle somewhere in Aruba or Bora Bora. But reality set in, and you can always have somebody raise your bar. And that's what we like to do. So our bar is going to get raised today. And what we want to do before we actually officially introduce him is tell you a little bit about this amazing gentleman. And this is one of those individuals that no matter what, industry, what field he chose to go into, he was going to be highly successful. So this is what I like to call a real unicorn. I don't like to use that terminology, but the reality is every now and then you have somebody who was raised in the right conducive environment and they had their talents and their gifts put in front of them where there was no boundaries at an early age. And I think this young man got that. So he was able to flourish in a lot of things. So this gentleman's name is Charles L. Oglesby III, and he goes by Todd Billion and Todd Capital on the social media construct. And you know how we like to bring it to you is like, number one, tell you about his immediate background. Well, first and foremost, I've learned that the gentleman has, an undergraduate degree. He also has an MBA from Pepperdine, and he also has a juris, what is it called? A juris JD. Again, I'm not that educated, but he's got a JD. That's a law degree, ladies and gentlemen, a law degree. So pardon me for stumbling on that, tried to do it. And here's the sad part about it. I actually took about 100 years of Latin and I couldn't even get that out, but never mind. It is what it is, but I am free though. So that's cool too. So here's another thing. So my man, Todd Billion, last time I checked, and he's going to correct me when I'm wrong on these numbers, but when I checked, he had 34,000 Twitter followers, and he actually had more than that. And he'll tell this little story about how it got shut down and he got it revamped. He actually sold 25,000 option courses, which, man, he's a hero to me because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to interview him. So I could just be selfish, be real with you guys. I want to learn how I can sell 25,000 family finance one-on-one courses. They say the interviewer usually learns more than the interviewee, or the student learns less than the teacher. So hopefully you guys catch that. Another thing is, this gentleman sold, this was just astonishing to me, 3,000 copies of a $1 book, which was crazy. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, he just turned 35, if I'm not mistaken, when we met, and he has made $3 million in digital sales over the last couple of years. So, and another thing I like about it is that his mom is a certified public accountant. He's a father. His beloved wife, if I'm not mistaken, she stays home, and he's provided her with the opportunity to raise his son with his morals, his ethics, and principles as a strong Black man. And that's just amazing to me. So without any more saying, I want to introduce and thank Mr. Charles L. Oglesby III, aka Todd Billion, for coming on our show. How you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, man. You guys are very thorough, very thorough. So full introduction, full all that stuff. Happy to be here, man. How you guys doing?
Man, we doing fired up, man. We are always excited to bring sharp, down to earth people onto the program. I see you rocking the Detroit cap, and maybe you might want to, because sometimes people get the D on my hat for Detroit, but that's actually for DJ the Money Coach when they look at it. But I know why we rock the Detroit cap, because you just told me, because I'm rocking in that area as well. So what's new on your plate, Todd Billion? And hey, man, jump in, tell us a little bit, 60-second recap that I didn't cover in that extensive bio that we can find on LinkedIn.
Wow. You know, I started a brand. Well, actually, I'll take it here. After I graduated from college with a degree in finance, I immediately started working as a financial advisor. So I was Series 7, Series 66 licensed, life insurance, life and health. And I was out there knocking on doors. It was funny, just yesterday, we had somebody come into our door and he was trying to sell us an alarm system. And I was like, man, that's some hard work. Be out there in a full suit, knocking on doors, talking to strangers, trying to convince them to buy your stocks. And quite honestly, and I never really said this on an interview, but what made it unique for me is not only was I very young, I was also African-American in affluent non-African-American areas. And so I already kind of felt like I was at a slight disadvantage. Like, hey, I'm a 22, 23. I'm talking to people who are 50 years old, 60 years old, and I'm asking them to give me their money. Like, hey, I need 100 grand, I need 200 grand. And I think in my mindset, I realized I needed to do something a little bit different. I didn't fully get it yet, but I realized that I needed to do something different. So from there, I went and I worked for Chase Private Client as a private client banker, which was actually an increase in responsibility because I was working with clients who had over $250,000 in assets or more. So I was doing that. And I tell people a lot of times, like $250,000 in assets was the minimum. I'm dealing with folks who have 600 grand in a savings account, who are making 200 grand a month, who are making crazy numbers. And what I learned from that is I learned how the wealthy truly move. They move as a unit, they move as a group, they do things as a family. But again, I wasn't serving my people. And so what I actually found is usually on the flip side, my people were the people coming into the bank account or coming into the bank, open up a bank account and getting them charged off in a week because they're out there having too much fun and they charge it up at the standard hotel on the rooftop. And so I started realizing, like, you know what? This is cool. Making money is cool, but I also want to make a difference. And so I started to do something that allowed me to help my people where they are and help them build wealth as opposed to just helping people who are already wealthy. That didn't make any sense to me. Started a company called Todd Capital. We started an affordable investment club. People were able to invest with us for $25 a month. And we through that, we started investing in real estate. We own some homes in Detroit and ultimately ended up becoming an education company, not so much an actual investment services company. And here we are today.
Man, well, you know what, Nick, this is probably ironic. And Charles, you probably don't even know this. I was in the same industry as you were, so I can relate. I had a Series 7, 65, 26, 6, 63, yada, yada, yada. Had all those things. And like you said, I had to go out. I was a little bit older when I got in. I was like late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, just around 28, 30, got my license. And you're right, man. You would go out here and talking to these wealthy, affluent white people on what's called the North Shore in Chicagoland. And most of these people had second, third generational wealth where, you know, they had $4 or $5 million easy and, you know, $500,000. And I worked, I didn't work at Chase, but I actually worked with Merrill Lynch in the private equity segment where our quota was $5 million. So I know you can relate to this because, you know, high turnover. So our quota was $5 million and we couldn't talk to anybody that didn't have at least $1 million liquid. And if you didn't move that 5 million and halfway through at Merrill Lynch, dude, they got rid of you. Just like that. And I also started my own private boutique firm, and I had about 40, almost $50 million assets, and that's nothing. But like you too, I was like, why should I be helping these cats out when I need to be helping us out. But here's what the conundrum was. And I want to ask you, how did you feel about this when we started talking to our people, man? They would show all this, this external success, but the reality was they really didn't have anything. And it was like, I know you don't have anything, but you're still pretending and purporting that you have stuff. But I done already been around people got 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, $20 million. And I know a professional broke person when I see one.
Yeah, it's funny. On Twitter last night, a tweet went viral and it was talking about how this guy, he went to a financial conference and he said he didn't see any Gucci belts when he was there. And people were so mad at him. They're like, no, you guys in your suits and your tight suits don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's possible to have money and also to look like money too. And for the longest time on Twitter, which is my main platform, really, that was my mantra, is like, hey, stop taking the vacations, stop spending money on dumb stuff, stop buying all the Jordans, stop buying the Gucci stuff, and let's focus on building real wealth. And I think it came from me literally getting behind the curtain and seeing, because like I said, the dude who came in and got his account charged off, he was fly. He had on the big gold watch. He had on the designer clothing, the nice shoes. He came in there looking like he had it together, and the account got charged off. And I was like, y'all can lie to them. Y'all can lie to people who ain't seen it, but you can't lie to me. And my goal here is for you guys to win, not to just look like you're winning. He said, would you rather win or just look good losing? And a lot of us, we're looking good, but we're losing. And so, yeah, for the longest time, that was my mantra, is I see y'all. I see everybody online stunning, looking like they have it all together. But you can get to that point. Like, what I found is actually once you really, really get it, you can still have money and look like money. Like, it's possible. There are some, like, maybe some of the white folks who are at that point, they just ain't got no swag, like as like Kanye might say. But like, you can still do it and still be conservative. You know, like, honestly, I don't like the whole people who get money in business and then still look like rappers. Like, bro, look like you got money in business. You don't got to be iced out. You don't need all them chains. You don't need all that stuff. Like, just do it clean and conservative. But I guess that's what our standard is. And so I would just say, like, yeah, that's definitely one thing that I've seen. And that was my mantra for the longest time in the investment club. My mantra for the longest time in starting Tide Capital is, let's just kill all the looking good stuff and let's just actually start becoming good.
So how did you get our people to relate and actually follow you without doing the bling? I mean, you dress very sharp, professional sharp, which is corporate America, but I don't see people turned off from it in your age group like they were turned off when I was coming down that vein. Mm-hmm. So, and like you said, that person is the rapper and still dress. It should be a maturity level. Hey, man, now I got the money. Now let me change up my image a little bit, get a little bit more classy, in the process, and maybe chic. And ain't nothing wrong with that. But to me, it's like it's a maturity thing. But how did you get to stay where you were and get them to relate to the education you were teaching? For me, it was totally different because I started in my church when I pulled out of the financial service industry and teaching financial education. And I already knew that people were hurting in the church. So I started doing a church program. And then those people started coming. There's two things I found out, Todd, is that people are very reluctant to talk about their money and their God. But if you can be trusted with their money, they'll talk to you about their God and trust you with everything else. And that's how I would start able to relate and get penetration in my community. But it only came from when they saw me doing stuff at the Federal Reserve, the YMCA, the state of Illinois, state of Michigan. How did you get them to actually get to the real crux of the matter and get on board with the program and do it simple and not try to be, outlandish with it in a sense?
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of ways it was content, consistent content, and then it was also displaying the results of people that I worked with. So if I can show you real results of people who have actually gone through what I've gone through, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you can, if you make $1,000 in a day, $2,000 in a day, 10,000 a week, whatever that looks like, and I can show you that they did it and it's real, what they do with that money is their choice. You can take 10,000, you can go buy a watch, you can take $10,000, you can save it and reinvest it. But at least they saw that you made that kind of money. And so sometimes just seeing the money and the results there works. For me, I think I just always kind of flexed my knowledge. And so through my content, through my Twitter, through different things I would post, my podcast and whatnot, people would see that I knew what I was talking about. I was able to speak well on topics. I was able to shine light on things they never thought about. So like a lot of things that I do is I'll flip some content or some topics on top of their head. And so like you're thinking that this is the way that we should be doing it, but no, actually, if you do it this way, you can get the result. And a light bulb will go off. And that light bulb goes off, then you have a follower, someone who buys into what you're doing. So I'm constantly trying to recondition our mind and show us that maybe the things that we think are the way to go aren't actually going to give us what we really want, and also giving them proof. So giving them the data, giving them the examples, giving them the real life testimonials to show them like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I'm always consistent. I'm always in your face. The amount of the quantity of content that I put out there is another reason that I get a lot of followers. I don't tweet once or twice a day. I probably tweet maybe 5 times in an hour.
Wow.
I'm putting up like 30 to 40 tweets every single day. I don't post on Instagram once or twice a day. I post like 8 or 10 times a day. I don't post a podcast once every other week. I try to do a podcast twice a week, if not more. I want to get to the point where I'm doing a podcast a day. So the volume of content helps as well. And honestly, I just think that having the credentials matters. People see somebody with the credentials and they buy into it. They might not immediately like trust you, but at least they're following you and they want to hear more.
Okay, that makes sense. You know, and I just thought about something. It's probably also too generationally that now we are truly in the information age. People are seeing on these platforms, unlike I was working primarily in the analog phase. The internet was not prevalent. You know, hey, I'm an old head. So in the 90s, there was no platform for me to get on and hit a tweet, do an IG where you can actually see what I'm actually doing. So I think that was part of the challenge in our community versus working in the other communities. So with that said, you talked about, you know, multiple tweets, multiple IGs, multiple, you know, podcasts. Why is digital marketing so important right now in the dawn of this new world we live in? And you've mastered that. So why is digital marketing so important?
So I'm always cite my source, but I was at a conference over the weekend, the Eric Thomas conference, and Nikki Saunders
love
said,
Eric Thomas.
He's dope. Nikki Saunders said that if you create shareable content, your followers become your marketing team for free. And I thought that was profound because that's always what I've done. I started to see the power of Twitter because the power of the retweet. If I have 10,000 followers and you retweet my tweet to your followers, the next person retweets my tweet to their followers, so on and so forth, I've just reached 1 million people. I could never knock on 1 million doors, ever. And that was what was so limiting about when I was working in financial advising, is their ways were so antiquated. You couldn't tweet. I got out one time when I was working for the firm.
Not without the compliance.
Right. They're coming. They're coming.
OSJ, man, you can't even go do a speech without the OSJ clearing. That's one thing I hated about that. My bad. Go back to you, brother.
No, it's real, and it's cool that other people have that experience too, because it kind of limits what you like, the people that you can connect with, because that's be pre-vetted. And then again, all the information really only speaks to the people that have it already. So social media is just, it's a huge tool that allows us to create business out of thin air. Before, in order to start an actual business, you had to go get the brick and mortar store. You had to get the lease. You had to get a loan so that you can get all these things. You had to get people to staff it. You had to do all these things in order to go into business. Now, to go into business, you need an Instagram page and a link tree. And neither of those things cost you any money. And so a lot of these were by design, unfortunately, where we were put in position, especially in California, to where we can't even afford to go into business. If you can't afford to go into business, you're going to be an employee by default, because you can become an employee for free. Well, now you can go into business for free. You can promote and advertise your brand for free. All you need is some wit and a Twitter page, or some content, or a microphone and a camera that you already have on your iPhone. You're literally in business. The cell phone is your storefront now. And so it's empowered a ton of people. And that's why you see so many people who are out there and they're changing their lives and they're changing their families' lives, and they're making more in a month than these companies wanted to pay them in a year. So if you're not taking advantage of the digital marketplace, you're effectively choosing to stay small, because these jobs are going to pay you to be small. Social media allows us to market in ways where the eyeballs are. That's what marketing is about, is eyeballs, impressions, people seeing what you're offering, Before, you had to do that through the newspaper, which would price us out. You had to do it through commercials on TV, which would price us out. Super Bowl commercials, price us out. Billboards, price us out. All radio commercials, that would price us out.
Woo, I've done
But
some of
what's
those.
the point? Right. But it's all just eyeballs at the end of the day. I can create a podcast and I can reach people nationwide from a cell phone. That is one of the biggest things, is it gets you out of just your own area. I'm an introvert by nature. I do more thinking than I do actually getting out, talking to people, meeting people, shaking hands. But I can still meet people way outside of my city just by firing up a phone. So digital marketing, it does a lot for us, but I think it allows us to reach people at scale. That's the most important thing. And you're going to make money in business by reaching a lot of people, because everybody's not going to want to buy what you have. I know a restaurant in Watts, and they make good money, but they only have one location. How much money you can make with one location? You're not making billionaire money with one location. They might be comfortable. Maybe they're making like $250,000 a year and they're comfortable, but like, man, a great concept that's limited by like geography, you can't max out to your full potential. There's no way that the people that you see making the money that they're making are making the money that they're making if they could not access social media.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Markel. I work as a long-term forecast analyst for Disney Streaming. I met Dale at Erica's Classy Climb tour in Atlanta and signed up for his services. Prior to that, I'd done a lot of research on my own to try to improve my finances, and I made some progress, but I was really stagnant and just not sure what to do next. So I was a bit apprehensive about sharing all my financial information and then having a discussion about it, but Dale made me feel very comfortable. He wasn't judgmental, and it was just my starting point. He explained to me how to get rid of my student loans, my old student loans that I thought were just insurmountable. He helped me with strategies to reduce my expenses that don't make me feel like I'm sacrificing anything. And it's not the same information that you find like rehashed and repackaged over the internet. It's personalized advice. It considers your current situation, where you are, your goals, and your level of comfort. We put together a realistic plan of things that I can do immediately, things over the next few months, the next year, and then long term. I feel very optimistic and excited about my plan and that things are clear for me. And it also is motivating me to try to find more income to get to my goals even faster. Dale is very knowledgeable, very sharp. He was able to answer all of my questions, and anything that he felt like was out of his scope, he has like a network of people, professionals who are vetted that he uses himself that he can refer you to. I appreciate that he offers this service and like shares all of his real world knowledge and experience he's gained over many years in the business. I think that that's very valuable and not so easy to find. Dale is very passionate about what he does, and I highly recommend working with him.
You unwrapped a lot of stuff there. Let me ask you this. Let me play devil's advocate real quickly, because you have all the pedigree from an undergraduate to 2 professional degrees. Okay. So why would I not tell my children today to pursue the same avenue that Charles Oglesby III pursued? Because that's what we're taught before versus now. And before you answer that, here's what my thought process is with my children. I have 4 children. So right now I tell them, only reason why you got to go to college, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be an engineer or a doctor. That's it. Them the only things I know. You still need to have apprenticeship. Everything else, I think you can get right on this platform. But from the first part, why would we not have them go that traditional, outdated source and accumulate all this debt versus just jumping right out here and teach it in the school the right way with the new paradigm shift?
Yeah. I have kind of observed that conversation a lot on social media, but what I always circle back to is if you look at very successful, wealthy people, oftentimes they still can't send their kids to college. College, in my opinion, polishes you and refines you. It might not lead to the six-figure job that they promised us anymore, but I still think that it is a worthwhile endeavor. I've been better for every degree that I've obtained. I've also have better friends for all the degrees that I've obtained. The people that I've been able to walk away from because I've elevated myself are a lot of the reasons why I'm able to do the things that I'm doing. So my competition sphere is way different. It's kind of like if you never leave your hometown, you get stuck around the same people you went to high school with, talking about the same things you guys did in high school, the same people that you guys knew in high school, and you never change. But my life has changed because every time I've gone to a different level of education, my peer circle has changed and my mindset has changed. And interestingly enough, a lot of the people that I went to law school with are now opening their own law firms. So they went, and that's honestly a big part of the reason why I went to law school, because law school is kind of a career or a kind of profession that lends you to entrepreneurship. Most attorneys either become partner in a firm, which effectively makes you an entrepreneur, or they start their own firm. And I saw that and I was like, that's what I want. And then also, it also gives you an advantage just in business, because a lot of the most successful entrepreneurs are lawyers. Yeah. A lot of people, not even just entrepreneurs, but like successful people in general are lawyers. I wish I had my list of examples, but
man, Reginald F. Lewis. Why should white guys have all the fun? That's my hero.
I want to say the Zell guy, I forget his name, Sam Zell, I think is his name. He's a lawyer.
Yep.
Low key, I don't think Bezos is a lawyer, but he might be. But there's a lot of really successful people who went through law school. And so before I went to law school, I was doing a lot of research of successful lawyers, not just in the legal profession, but in entrepreneurship. So that's the reason why I think that it does make you a better entrepreneur. It definitely made me more articulate. I mean, it's put me in spaces where I would not have been if I didn't have the education. I mean, yeah, you can probably work in financial advising and financial services if you don't have that degree, but I think that you're more likely to get there if you do, especially if you're young and African-American. But I would just say that it has impacted me. And I mean, another thing that helped me as well is college Greek life. So when I was in college, I didn't just go to college. I was involved in a fraternity. I was a president of my fraternity for 2 years. From there, I went on to be the president of the NPHC Council. I was a part of the Entrepreneurship Club. I was a part of the Accounting Association, part of the Financial Management Association. So I was always involved in different things that were elevating me outside of just the degree. And also, it's hard out there to find a solid woman if you're just in these streets. So when you go to college and it's like 8 women to 1, now you got your selection of who do you want? Like, which one of these women do I want to make my wife? And I would rather those odds if I'm looking for somebody who I know is focused, is driven, knows knows how they can like sacrifice for a greater goal long term, isn't just looking for the quick fix. So there's a lot of reasons why I think the college still can lend you to entrepreneurship, and it's not either or. I would still tell somebody, even if they do go to college, you still got to be a boss.
Man, well spoken. So how do you prevent yourself from getting caught up in the streets? Because I mean, you have an underlying sublime, like a little hip hop flavor to yourself, which is cool, but it's authentic, which is what I like. So how do you not slide over and get caught up in that, genre field? But I probably know why, because you're married now, you have a child. But what if you had this success before you got married and had your child? And I think even at the conference, you said you became serious when you had your first child. Yeah. And what changed that, and what enabled you not to get caught up? Because one of the conundrums I had is that, I grew up in a single parent household for a while, had a, formal education, not as well as yours. They get an undergraduate, went to school to become an accountant. But I also found myself sometimes loving that hip hop, feeling. But at the same time, I knew when to turn it off and be corporate. And like you said, my sphere of influence changed, and it elevated me and made me more polished. But you being young and seeing that most people are creating success on these social media, it's almost like they don't want to let go of that negative, version of hip hop, because they think that's what made them successful, but they don't know there's levels to this game. So how do you keep your authenticity and not fall over there? And how do you prescribe to them to do the same thing?
It reminds me of the Pharrell Williams statement. He was like, "I'm not built for it, man. Like, I'm not built for all that comes with the hip hop life. I'm not out there about to be fighting in the club, wilding out, shooting folks. Like, I love life, man. I'm not trying to be out there just fighting random people." So that would be one thing But I do think that my experience in corporate America did teach me the benefit of being polished. So when I was at the financial advising firm, we had a few things that they required you to do. You had to wear dark suits, and you had to have a clean shaven face. And also, since I grew up in a military family, my dad is retired military, my grandfather's retired military, all my uncles are retired military. We're actually very conservative. Even my wife, her dad is not retired military, but he's ex-military. And people don't realize this, but like a lot of like people who were in the military, they believe in accountability. They believe in being clean, being presentable, being respectful. So that was always the underlying tone of my household my entire life. It was like I remember when I was in high school and Allen Iverson was big, and I wanted cornrows, man. I grew my hair out to get some cornrows, and my mom was like, "You ain't wearing those cornrows to church." She was like, "You can get them braided on Monday, but they better be taken out on Saturday when we go to church." And I tell people that things that I experienced like that in my life, I didn't really appreciate them until maybe like the second or third year of college, when I was in this space where I knew that I wanted a respectful life, but I also noticed I was portraying a hip hop image. And so like my first year or two in college, I did everything my parents said I couldn't do. So I was out there, I was wearing do-rags in public. I was wearing those like corduroy little like house shoes, like the little thug house shoes. I was just like, I knew I was a thug. I was like, I got to experience this thug lifestyle. But like, I started to realize that how you present yourself in a large way impacts how people treat you. And I wanted to be treated well wherever I go. I didn't want anybody to have a reason to think that I was not who I am or who I aspired to be. And so I started cleaning up my image myself. My third year of college, I dropped all the t-shirts, I still was wearing fitted caps, but like I just went to like wearing jeans and like dress shirts. And I was like 20 years old in dress shoes, and I cleaned up my image. And I started realizing people would like approach me a different way. And then after I got out of college, I started wearing suits for work, and people like it elevated a little bit. And so for me, I think that a part of it is my work experience, and it's also my upbringing. So I think that would be kind of the reason why I can stick to that.
Man, you know what? That's funny. Military background. My dad was a Marine. My grandfather, my uncle's a Marine. One thing my father always taught me, Charles, he said, "Hey, always dress one level above the person that you're meeting with."
Absolutely.
Because especially when you're young, like you said, automatic instant, respect. And then the same thing, you can always bring the conversation down, but you can never take it up if you're not dressed up. And I always remembered that. So I said, oh, okay, let me remember that. If I'm going to import, man, I'm going to be the highest dressed person, and that respect is going to automatically be given, even if I haven't earned it, but at least I don't lose it off the bat. So that's cool. And I know the people here, like you said, this is a financial expert series with DJ the Money Coach. So let's dive back in and talk about the business aspect so we can share with them what you could bring to the table. Because a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now, they need to have regardless. But a lot of times people want to get the money first before they figure out the life piece, which is actually the opposite in my mind. What we just talked about is the most important foundation, because money magnifies what you are. If you're bad, it makes you evil. If you're good, it makes you amazing, resource to everybody. But they got to get that on the way home. So tell me how to master digital sales, because man, I was blown away. I had never heard of you when I came to that conference with Erica, and that's not saying much because I'm not on these platforms hardly at all. But when I heard you say you had 3 million sales and you sold 25,000 copies, hey man, you got my attention. And I took copious notes, took video, and I became the student. And I said, hey man, I got to learn how to do what you're doing, even though I might got 15 years more in this industry than you have, but you beat me at the game, and I can learn from everybody. So talk to us about how to master digital sales, because you talked about how you shared platforms with people at first and you never were worried about getting something in return, which a lot of people would take. So talk to us about that, if you will, please.
Yeah, I would say that in the beginning, I realized I was building a brand. So like I said, I'm an introvert. And so my goal really is to attract people to me. It's not for me to be out there chasing you, sliding the DMs, like all the like outbound calls, that kind of stuff. I'm just like, you know what, create the brand, let people find me, let people come to me. And so what I did is, for a long time, well, in actuality, so it's so many things to it. But what I was doing is, Eric Thomas said, you need to discover your gift, refine your gift, and then give your gift away. And so in the beginning, what I did is I was actually in the necktie business. And so everybody says like, well, how did you start the company Hunter Todd? Like, or how'd you get the name Hunter Todd? And so I started a company called Hunter Todd Neckwear. The reason why I started the company called Hunter Todd Neckwear is because I read that Ralph Lauren got his start in neckties. And so I was like, cool, I could start a business in neckties. I would like to get into menswear. But what I didn't realize is that his necktie business isn't what blew him up, but it did get him involved in business. And so when I started the necktie business, you know what I was learning was e-commerce. I was learning how to create a product, put it online, and drive traffic to that product. And those are the essential things you need. You need a product, you need a website, you need to drive traffic to that website. However you drive traffic to that website, you can send it through emails, you can send it through Instagram, you can send it through sponsored posts, you can send it through Twitter. Traffic is what you need. Another thing is you need to make sure that you're providing way more value than what you're receiving in compensation. The book, Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Battles, it talks about how you need to provide more value in like I guess in like value in the sense of what your customer receives than you received in monetary compensation. So I'm not going to teach you how to make $1,000 for $1,000, but a lot of people on the internet, that's their play. They're like, you know what? This could make you $1,000, so you need to pay me $1,000 because this information is worth $1,000. In actuality, what I tell people is that the value of your product is actually a fraction of what it can make other people. The reason why it is because you got to make it so it makes sense for them to buy it. You got to make it so it's a no-brainer. I don't want people to have to think about whether they're going to give me money. I want them to just be handed over hand and fist. Like, this makes too much sense. Why wouldn't I do this? And so that was one of the things that I did. The other thing that what people don't really understand and what they struggle with is in a lot of ways, you can make more money with an affordable product than you can with a high ticket product. Granted, you can and you should have high ticket products in the back end. If people want to work with you one-on-one, your time is invaluable. If people want to take the information to step up, then you should charge them more money. But in the beginning of my digital products journey, I was pricing my products at like I said, the price it should have been. It was like $1,000. And I would get sales. I'll get a few sales a week. And then on what I noticed on Fridays, I'll drop it down. I'd run something called $50 Friday. $50 Friday would sell out. When I started doing $50 Friday, that was the first time I'd ever made more in a day than I'd made in a month at my job. And I was like, bro, there's something to this $50 thing. And so I chunked all my products down to an affordable price. All my stuff that was priced at $1,000, $2,000, I dropped it down to like $97. I didn't want it to be $100. I wanted it to be like almost $100, but not $100, because psychologically people are going to say, hey, I can give you 97, but $100, you're asking a little too much, buddy. And so at the end of the day, it's the same for me. $97 is $100, but the customer doesn't believe that. And so I was doing that, and it was really just the value exchange. And so I would say that whatever skill you have that can make money, you can teach it to somebody for a fraction of what it can make them. All you need is a website to host it. And if you get traffic, if you demonstrate results, even if they're just your results in the beginning, then you can start getting some sales to turn over. Guaranteed. I don't guarantee too much, but I guarantee you, if you're willing to teach somebody how to make $2,000 for $200, they'll pay you right now.
Wow. So you said the book was called The Science of Getting Business by Wallace?
Science of Getting Rich. Science
of Getting Rich. Man, I'm always looking. I'm doing the 52 books a year, 1 book a week this year, and I'm just about 3 weeks behind. So I got to add this one to my repertoire. Science of Getting Rich in Business, right? And that's by Wallace.
Rich, that's it.
Okay.
Wallace D. Battles.
Okay, D. Battles. Okay.
Waddles.
Man, so let me ask you this, because I had that conundrum, because I'm a high-end producer. I have a lot of experience, a lot of expertise. I built some $1 million companies, and I had a lot of challenges. I started out on Periscope when Periscope first came out. I'm an early adopter on the B2B side. Don't do this hardly as much as I need to nowadays, but I was hard thinking, hey man, I know what I put together. For instance, my Family Finance 101 course, and it's it's a 3-hour course, 18 modules. And I remember you said, hey, break things down. But how do you remedy that if you don't have the bandwidth that you take that $997 or $1,997 course that I'm getting in corporate America, because I actually get airports that actually pay me to train their employees on financial education. They pay me thousands of dollars. So how do I justify taking that same program, bringing it down here for 97 if I don't have the bandwidth?
What do you mean by bandwidth?
In terms of the exposure, because you were able to take your product from 1,000 to 97, but you had the volume in order to make up on those sales like Walmart. And reason why I say that is because there's 3 business models that I've learned about. Neiman Marcus, people pay whatever, and that's the top 1%. There's Target. Target looks like Neiman Marcus, but it's just above Walmart. And Walmart is pure value. And what I teach my people is figure out which one of those businesses you are and drive it to China. But you actually have flipped the paradigm, and you're telling me that, hey, that 1997 course that you get in corporate America that the airports and the governments are paying you, get that to the people for 97, but I only got 620 something followers. How do I make that work for me? And how does that work for somebody unlike me to get those sales like you were talking about?
So I didn't start off with the amount of followers that I have now. I mean, I still had a decent following, but I didn't start there. And I feel like what happens is, as you give this information to the people, more people have access to it. Because if you're selling something for $1,000, the majority of America doesn't have $1,000 saved. So now you're getting access to everybody. And the crazy part about it is you can still access people who have the money to pay you. So if you go lower ticket, not only can you sell to lower ticket people, you can still sell to high ticket people.
Okay, so that doesn't devalue my high ticket people.
I don't think that it does. I think that what matters is what are they getting, period. The cool thing about digital products and what I think makes them easy to maneuver is there's no overhead at all. In order for me to sell, I have a backpack company. In order for me to sell that backpack, I got to send $5,000 to China to get, I don't know, 100 backpacks or 200 backpacks, whatever that number might be. I should probably know that number. But in order for me to sell 5,000 or 200 copies of a digital product, I got to tweet something. That's all I got to do. I got to send an email. That's it. And I don't got to ship it. I don't got to store it. I don't have to pay anybody to respond to anything. It's all done instantaneously. In the beginning, when I first started out in e-com, I did it a few different ways, and I was doing physical products. I had a website. When I went digital, I couldn't find a website to host this stuff. It didn't exist at that point in time. There was no e-com for digital stuff. And so I was like at a loss, like, what do I do? How do I figure this out? And so what I was doing is people had to send me a DM to work with me. It was the worst thing ever. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing because I didn't know any better. I was doing good. But what they would do is I would post something. I'll say, hey, DM me if you want more information. I get a DM. I respond to the DM with the template and message. I tell them where to pay, all this different stuff. But it was like, it was just I had to be up to respond to them. All those different things made it difficult. Now, you literally just drive traffic to a website. The website allows them to do everything at self-checkout to get all the information there. I'm even working on even building it out more, adding videos, adding more testimonials to make it even more robust. And you're just making money in your sleep. So, but what happened is as I was getting results for other people, they're telling other people. And as I'm getting results for the people, like people are finding me. And so I would run ads and the ads would contain the results. The ads wouldn't just be like, hey, I trade options. It'd be like, hey, I trade options. Look what I've done for this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. If you want to know more, click the link in the bio. Also follow me. And so I would run ads, and I wouldn't just run ads for sales. I would run ads for followers. And so then I'm growing my following up.
Oh, wow.
So my following went from like 30,000. I had a good amount of followers on Instagram. Went from like 30,000 followers to like 140,000. Actually, I think it's like 150 now. And so the bandwidth grows as you're getting results for people. Granted, the thing is you can still have high ticket, and you should have high ticket, but with digital products, since they are so scalable and since they are so just economically intelligent to produce, it kind of makes sense to drop the price down. I didn't just come up with this theory myself. There's a guy named Chris Johnson. You might know him. I saw him getting like $40,000, $50,000 checks a week. And I looked at what his model was doing that my model wasn't doing. And I was like, this dude is out there selling a course for $40. I took the course. I know it's a good course. Like, he must know something. So I literally just followed suit. I was like, all right, let's try this affordable price thing out. Boom, sales just took off. And so then that first day that I sold, now, because I noticed like the $50 Friday, the same course, but I tell people this. A lot of people, when they're thinking about a course, they're thinking about the price of the course, not the gross number of sales that you can generate. So if the goal is to make $100,000, do I care if I get $100,000 by selling $1,000 course 100 times, or if I can sell a $100 course 10,000 times? You're more than likely going to get that 10,000 people, because the world is massive. The world is huge. I've sold 25,000 copies and I still don't feel like I've even hit as many people as I can hit, because the world is just so huge. And so you got to continue to market and get in front of people, knowing that if I just get 10 to 20% of these people, I could be set. And if the value exchange makes sense, and if you're still selling something that's $1,000 quality product for $100, you can make $10 million, man.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. You know what? I remember you were talking about that, and I've seen your ads and your little flyers on IG for $59, $39. You have a little, I don't know if you call it emoji of you with your little scoop and stuff like that. I was like, man, that's fly, man. We got to do that.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
I created STEAM, STEAM. It's science, technology, engineering, access, and mentorship. And people might say, well, what happened to the math? Well, to me, it's self-explanatory. If you're going to be an engineer, you got to be good at math in some capacity. How does that translate when you go in these boardrooms with these Fortune 500 companies who just want to take money out of our community? How do you get them to, humanize our experiences and actually give us the value without us having to be validated through their lens? People don't understand, when you start out in business, you got to pay your team first before you pay yourself. I'm gonna say it. You got to pay your team first before you pay yourself, because you invested in a system. I'm excited about meeting you guys, because I think you're stumbling on something that's going to actually dissolve that system and actually make you as the number one player in the industry. Can you talk to that a little bit?
You know what I can say? I can say that I have chills, right now at 4:19 Central Time, Thursday, March 4th, 2021 in Austin, Texas, hearing you say that. And I actually want to refer back to this clip whenever it is that we, do achieve some milestone like $100 million of gross written premium.
The DJTMC Financial Expert Series is the #1 show featuring the hottest business professionals, working professionals, and entrepreneurs, from the seasoned vets to the rising stars. Email Nick at djthemoneycoach.com if you have what it takes to stand among the greats. Now back to the program.
So another thing you talked about in the conference is that why scarcity sales model is so important, where if you say you're going to sell 10, do the countdown. If it's 39, it's out, it's no longer available. So how do I do that without coming across and say, oh man, he's doing this every Friday? And it's the same, 10 books that he's selling for the giveaway and that. How do I not lose credibility by using that scarcity sales model that you do so effectively, that we can help everybody that's watching this learn that themselves, and as well as for us too? So how do we do that effectively without losing, our credibility?
That's a tough thing to answer, because you might lose credibility with some people. And I think that that's okay. The goal is to still provide value. So I've had people who, once upon a time, I had a guy, I was selling a course for like $99. And then the next day I sold the same course for like $59. In the comments, he's like, hey man, I just paid $99 for this. I was like, you got a good deal, man. He was like, yeah, you're right. I did get a good deal. Because the value is there. The value is there. The value is always going to be there. So I don't really have a good answer to that, because I don't know if, I just know that it's a way to drive sales. And for the longest time, like if you just put something up on the internet and it's just sitting there, you got to find a way to drive some sales. And sometimes you got to drive sales by saying, hey, I got this for sale. A lot of people, they aren't willing to say that. They're just like, if they want it, they'll buy it. If they want me, they'll find me. Like, no, sometimes you actually do got to get in their face and you got to promote it. You got to know, let them know it's there, but you also got to let them know that this is a valuable product because of these results here. And if you want these results, you got to get it while the price is whatever the price is. And so it's a way to stir up emotion. It's a way to get people energized and motivated, because if you just pop up on the internet and say, I got this course for $97, they're not going to be moved by that. But if you say I have this course and it's only available until this day, then they're going to be moved. People do it all the time. Stores do all the time. They have weekend sales. They have a holiday sale.
Right. Every day there's a sale.
Right. So Black Friday is a sale. Black Friday is when they actually make their money. So I would just say, like, I didn't understand it at first, and I just started kind of following.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people sometimes what you want to do might not make sense to you on the outside of what you want to do. But once you start doing it, once you get into the middle of it, they're like, I kind of see what's going on now. And so what I was doing is I didn't really care if it made sense. Right. And a lot of times I do this all the time. Like, I just execute. I get some new information, we execute on the information. I want to shorten the gap between information and execution. If I can just execute, I'll find out why we're doing it. I didn't understand the Friday sales thing. I was like, why would you do a sale on Friday? I don't know. Let's do it. And as I was doing it, I was like, people get paid on Friday. People want to spend money on Friday. People can afford $50 easy. There's all these different things of why Chris was doing $50 Friday, but I didn't understand it. I just duplicated what he was doing. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. You just got to duplicate it.
Okay, yeah, that makes absolute sense. Execute. So give us a 15-second layout of what that scarcity model looks like. Like you say, hey, I'm selling this and it's 1, 2, 3, it's out. Because I don't think they grasp what it is. I understand what it is, but how is the template? What does the template look like, if you don't mind me asking?
So one of the things I was going to tell my VA today, and I didn't get a chance to, is we got to start marketing your product at full value. So for us, full value might be $200, $97, whatever that full value is, because you don't want to be known as a person who can just get a discount from all time. So you want to show people that there's value there. You want to show the results. You want to educate and entertain your people and provide information and drive them there. And you also got to continue to grow your market. And so another thing we're doing is we're continuing to grow new people, because yeah, there might be somebody who might have seen you run a sale for $39, but that new person hasn't. So that new person, when they pop up, they're going to be like, okay, this is a deal. So what we do is we pair general broad mass marketing. So we're doing those sponsored posts on Black Wall Street 2, Support Black Business, Official Black Wall Street, Black Wealth Renaissance, Black Fitness Today, all those large Instagram pages that have about 500,000 followers or 250,000 followers. I'm going to do that. I'm going to introduce me to a new audience, hopefully get some new followers, of course, put results. Sometimes they don't want you to put like options or stock screenshots. So our thing is just introduce people to who you are. Hey, this is DJ the Money Coach. He's helping people start their business and become successful in less than 6 months, whatever that might be. Whatever your tagline is, do that. Have a dope picture of yourself, a professional picture. In the caption, you're going to explain like, hey, this guy's out there doing this. You got to follow him. Make sure you support what he has going on. Click the link in his bio. So in the bio, you have to give instructions to your customer, which is effectively a call to action. You got to, because interestingly enough, people do what you tell them to do. If you don't tell them to do nothing, they're going to do nothing. But if you say, hey, follow this person, they're going to follow. If you say, hey, click the link in his bio, they're going to click the link in their bio. So I will do that. And then when I'm there, I'm not running sales. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll archive my sales posts. I don't want sales posts on my page. I just want content. So if there's a sales post that I use, we got to delete it or archive it. So when you come to my page, you don't just see like sale. You're just seeing a polished image of what we're promoting and what we're doing and what we're about. Of course, in your bio on Instagram, you want to have your tagline. What do you do? Who do you do it for? And how do you do it? And then you also want to have like maybe some things that kind of identify you, like options trader, maybe earn $20,000 trading options, something like that to highlight yourself. And then as you're just marketing and hammering and promoting yourself at your full value, then you can pop up and say, hey, it's a holiday. I'm always running a sale on a holiday. You're going to make crazy money if you run into Labor Day, Memorial Day, Halloween, of course, Black Friday. Now we're hitting them with a sale. So if they didn't buy at full cost, they probably looked at full cost and they're like, oh, I'll get it later. These are all new people. These aren't the people that have been hanging around for a while. Then when you do hit them with that sale, now you're reaping what you've been kind of sowing for that past week. So yeah, you might have been doing pretty good throughout the week, but then on that Friday hits, or even sometimes on like the Saturday, Sunday, because a lot of times I'll just trail my sales out. So I hit them hard on the Friday and I'll say, hey, we're selling this for the first 50 people. And you can kind of gauge what you can sell by how fast they're buying. And so I didn't just start doing like first 50. In the beginning, it was like first 10. So you can get this for the first 10 people, and my following wasn't that big. And so the 10 would sell out, and I'd be like, you know what? All right, maybe we can bump it up to like 25. And then those would sell out. Then we said, let's bump to like 50. And then those would do okay. And then I was like, let's try 100. 100 is a little bit too much. 100 people don't follow that too well. So I kind of brought it down to like 50 and 25, and I stay in that range. And then I'm always hitting them like there's 22 left, 21 left, 20 left. So then you keep that refresher in their mind, but you're also kind of getting a new sales post because it's a whole new sales post. And so that's what I would do. Another thing that we do is we do like value content. So I'm going to drop some game on you. It might be like a stock market gym, a real estate gym, an investing gym that people never thought about. They're like, dang, that's dope. Like, for example, I just put something out there today where I was talking about how if you invest $100, you might not think it's a lot of money, but over the course of 18 years, you've made this much money. I'll post that. And then behind that post, it'll be a sales ad. So you swipe to the left, it's like, oh yeah, we got the sale going. So you're getting the traction because it's a value post, but it's also an ad. So you get a lot of sales out of that. I do a lot of reels with the call to action in the reel. So I mean, there's a lot to it, but it's all like social media and adding value. Is make sure you're adding value, make sure that you're educating and entertaining. It's not just all sales. So I pair everything we do is value add, even if it happens to be a sale. So we're always dropping game. We're always educating. We're always giving you tips on the content. We're always teaching you about what an option is, what a put option is, what a call option is, what different strategies are, all that stuff. We're a resource to the community that just happens to have something to sell, which is still a resource in itself.
Man, that's awesome. You know, I noticed that you and Andre Hatchett do that extremely well. Shout out to Andre Hatchett, man. He takes the lid off of it doing it, and I see the similarities and the parallels in you guys' success. So
yeah.
So you also dropped the nugget about the VA. I used VAs back in 2016, and we're just hiring VA again. What's the importance of using the VA and pairing that with artificial intelligence in terms of marketing when you don't have time to doing those little what I call drudgery, things that you got to do, but them things don't make you money, but they can lose you money if you don't have the right person in place. So why should I have the VA? How should I start out with the VA? And what's the effective part that it buys you time back so you can enjoy that, with your family?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I would say is a lot of people think that a VA is going to make them successful. I don't think that's the case. I think that a VA allows successful people to get their time back. And so I never delegate something I've not already done. I never delegate something I can't do if you ain't here. But I know that my life has changed ever since I've had a VA because I can just delegate stuff, delegate stuff that I would do, but it just doesn't make sense for me to do it in that moment because if I do it, like you said, I could be losing money. So with my VA, she does a few things. And I mean, I have a few VAs and they're kind of expensive, but I just try to make sure that they add value. So everything that I would do in terms of like setting up the links in the back end. So like if I'm running a sale, I'm using code words. You get the discount by using the word Georgia. You get the discount by using the word Washington. I used to go back there and set up all that stuff and send out the emails and do all of that. I don't do it anymore. I say, hey, the things that I've already done, I need this done, this done, this done, this done. She executed, I go about my day. So you got to even know what works because imagine if I had never done it and saw what works and I just brought a VA into it and now I'm just experimenting with the VA. Like, I don't know if she sucks or if I suck. And it's probably me who sucks because if I didn't suck, I'd be already where I was. And so like even with the content dude, like I have a person who creates content. So all those cartoon pics, I don't create those, but I can, and I have, and I will if I have to go back that route. And so I would say like a VA is essential, but don't think that a VA or an employee is going to take you to the promised land. You got to take yourself to the promised land and then just put a VA in charge of the systems that you've created. Because I don't know, it just, for some reason, it just doesn't work out. I've known people who they wanted to start like a wholesaling business and they're like, well, we just got to get a VA and the VA will do the cold calls. Like, you cold call. You don't even know if the VA is doing good cold calls or bad cold calls. She never sat through 200 cold calls. You got to do the work first. So you can't avoid the work. And we've been working. And so I'm just cashing in on all the work we've been doing for the past 3 to 4 years when the opportunity came during the pandemic to do so. But a VA, I started with one VA and she opened up a lot in my life. And then she decided that she was going to do different things because I had her doing things that actually weren't even really like digital products related. She was doing like real estate stuff and getting passed out by tenants. She didn't like that too much. And then I got a new VA like the same day because I was like, now that I've had a VA, I can't live without one because they just make your, it's like having a wife for your business.
Right.
Like,
right.
You just like, hey, honey, I need you to do this, this, and this. And it gets done. It's like magic. And yeah, I got to pay you, but I'm getting way more value than what I'm paying you. So I think there's a threshold of success for you to get a VA. I don't want you getting a VA and you starting out and you think you're just going to go to the beach and the VA is going to build your business, because that's not going to happen.
Right.
They're going to be pissed off at you. They're not going to want to work because they're going to be able to see it and they're just not going to like it. But once you get to that certain point, it doesn't make sense to not have a VA. So if you don't have a VA at that point, now you're losing money and now you're going backwards because now you're doing things that a boss shouldn't be doing. And that was one of the things that digital products and all these communities taught me, is I can't do certain things and make money. Like my dollar per hour is different now. So if I'm doing something that's low dollar per hour, I have to get away from it. It's like you don't want to do the minimum wage activities. You only got to be doing those high value activities. So we have vending machines and I'm like, I'm not doing those vending machines. Like, yeah, they're local and I could if I wanted to, but I'm just not because like, I think mentally I just can't justify driving an hour to Glendale to go fill out some vending machines that are going to make us $500 a month. With the rental properties, they got rental properties. Like, I can't justify letting somebody text me on vacation with my family when they're paying me $300 a month net.
Right.
I can't justify it anymore. So we got to put people in place, even if I got to lose money in the process. I think that's a wealthy mentality, is where I would rather take less money to get more time, because then I can amplify it and scale it. So that's where I'm at now.
Man, that's important, because you know what? Nick is my business manager, and Nick was a client of mine 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Oh.
He was such a great client. He was well educated. And I said, you know what? Maybe I can find this guy that I can teach what I already know. And I'm willing to let the mistakes happen because he'll learn my system. And now we got to the point that we're doing, 5 figures every month, easy, serious 5 figures. Now it's like, we need the VA. So actually you just told Nick what he needs to do to delegate to the new VA. Because like you said, my dad taught me this. He said, hey man, if you run a business, you need to know how to clean the toilets. You know how to mop the floors, as well as sit in the CEO suite. So you know exactly what they're doing and what they're not doing. And if they're doing a great job, you know how to increase their earnings to make them happy as well. You can't bypass, the shortcut to the shortcut. And that's really what you just summarized, which is very important, because we had a conundrum with, man, do we get a VA? Do we not get a VA? But it got to a point now we're losing business because Nick's doing stuff that he don't need to be doing and doing more high value stuff, just like you talked about. And we got that mastered. So answer.
Hold on, one second.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, I don't even consider my VA a virtual assistant as much as she's like a virtual associate. And interestingly enough, my VA isn't one of those like foreign VAs that you can get for like super cheap, like $7. Like I only get her for like 20 hours a week, but she gets paid $25 an hour.
Wow.
And I think the value that I get is based off of what I pay. And I was hesitant at first. I was really like, man, that's a lot of money to pay a VA. But what I like about her is she gets stuff done. And I've had people who I've employed who you assign something on Monday, you hit them up on Friday, like, did this get done? And they either forgot about it or they give you an excuse. So she's worth the money. And ain't nobody got time to be getting excuses. Like, I saw somebody post something today and they said, like, successful people and people who make things move, they don't really tolerate too many excuses. And I know that you are like that. Like, there's no excuses valid. And so it's going to be a little pricey, but I mean, it's not a full-time person, it's part-time, but I definitely get the value. I get things done.
Was there a typical probationary period that you did with her? Or, because, typically, in corporate America, it's 90 days probation. Some people do 30. With me, with VAs, it's like 30 days. Get in, get out. And I don't think $25 an hour is a lot if that person can make you 10, 20x. And this kind of goes back to what you said about employer and employee relationship. And this is what people don't get in corporate America. if you make a $10,000 a year, they expect you to make the business 100. If you make 100,000, they expect you to make 1,000,000. And I don't think people know that. And so if they can, you know, I know you know, but a lot of people don't realize. They say, hey, well, if you make 100, then you're making them 1,000,000. I can show you how. You making 10 grand, I can show you how you're making them $100,000. So if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you should be able to make that 100,000 for yourself. And if you want to be a millionaire and you're making 100,000 for somebody else, you should be able to make 1,000,000 within following the systems. So I think that's very important. I wanted to, you know, chime back at that when you first said it and chime in and let people know the significance of it. So I'm a brand new entrepreneur. What are 3 tips that I should know getting started? Because a lot of times these people get out here, they do crypto, they do Forex, they do digital marketing, and they want to quit their job yesterday. They have 1 week, 1 month, they make 5 grand, make 20 grand. Oh, I quit my job. And I have to admit, I did that. When I started my cleaning business, I quit my job prematurely and it hurt. And I ended up getting my car repoed and I ended up getting my wages garnished. But I don't mind that I did it because I'm built for that game, but most people aren't. So what would be 3 tips that you would give people, the brand new entrepreneurs in this internet world that everybody's getting rich, when you and I know the numbers don't change? 20% of the people make $60,000 an individual, 10% make 100, and 5% make 150, and 1% make 1,000,000 plus. So what are those 3 tips? I'm starting fresh, I'm hungry as an entrepreneur that I got to start with, regardless of any industry I'm in.
Yeah, man. So before I go into the 3 things, I would just tell people to, because I quit my job prematurely about 2 years before I actually quit my job for good. And I did it when I didn't have things going for me. I just like was going to figure out how to get it going for me. And so my wife at the time, she was like, hey, I'm pregnant. You need to go back to work. And so then I went back to work. I went back to work, but I went back to work with the purpose of getting out of work. So during that time, I was grinding, I was building, I was hustling, I was producing more content, I was engaging in more endeavors. And I got to the point where I started making more money, like in a week, sometimes in a day, definitely in a month, than I was making on my job. And so a lot of people, they just want to jump off the porch and they hear me kind of bash jobs, but I didn't really quit my job until not only did I have enough money to not have to work, but I also had enough money coming in to not have to work. So I created different systems of revenue to support my lifestyle, even if I didn't have the assets in the bank, the stocks, the savings account, all that stuff. So those things are important. But I would just say that I want people to be financially comfortable to not need a job, not out there depending on the business, because if it's a brand new business, you're going to be doing more reinvesting than you are going to be extracting. And you can't grow something if you're just extracting all the time. And a business is a baby. And so you got to grow that baby. Imagine if your son pops out and you got to pay rent, boy. But that's you're telling your job to do that. You're telling your business 1-year-old, 2 years old, like you got to pay rent. And the baby's like, I can't pay rent yet. I mean, eventually I might be able to pay some rent, but I can't pay rent yet. And so you got to reinvest in that baby. You got to grow that baby up. So when they turn 18, 19, 20 in dog years, because I don't think it's going to take you 18, 19, 20 years to grow a business, but it might take you 3 to 4 years. It might take you 2 to 3 years to build it up to where it makes sense. You got to be reinvesting everything back into that business. And what a lot of people, they think is business equals immediate money, because that's what a job is. A job is immediate money. You show
a lot of people think that.
Right. And so if you're trying to live off of your business, you're more than likely going to kill that business, because you never know what's going to happen in 6 months, 12 months. When some turn events happen, some pandemic happens, when you're out here trying to flip a house and you can't get lumber or you can't get people to show up to work, people are out here getting sick, you got weather stuff, like you got to prepare for the unforeseen in business. You need reserves, you need cash. You don't just need cash flow. And that's why I had to get both. I had to get cash flow and cash in the bank to really go out on my own. The 3 things I would say is you got to start. You got to put something out there. Too many people spend time trying to polish and refine it before they get it to the market. But you're doing it for you if that's what you're doing. If you're polishing and refining a business in your mind, you're trying to make yourself the customer, but you're never going to be your own customer. You got to let the market polish and refine your product. And they are, with reviews, with criticism, with complaints, with questions. A lot of things in my course, when I first launched it, weren't there. They got there because I got DMs and emails of the same questions over and over and over and over and over again. And so what I did is I got in the lab and I created another video to just answer all those questions. And that tightened it up a little bit. And then I created another video, another video, another video. I created a book. I started packaging it up and making it a good product. And so making it a good product while it was on the market, they call it a minimum viable product. You got to launch it and then you got to refine it. You got to launch it and you got to iterate. I tell people, you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at all these dope companies, they didn't start where they are now. They started where they were then. Facebook was called the Facebook. They didn't allow anybody who wasn't in college on there. They had a whole bunch of limitations and restrictions, and now they're way different. Instagram is way different. They used to be a photo sharing app. Now you can do videos, you can do you can do a whole bunch of stuff, stories. You build your product as you go, but you can't build anything if you don't start. So I tell people, start with what you have, and also start a bunch of things that are related. And so my business is aimed at closing the wealth gap. We close the wealth gap a lot of different ways. We close it through podcasts, close it through blogs, close it through Instagram, close it through investment clubs for stocks, close it through investment clubs for real estate. We close it by bringing in guest speakers in our mastermind, by creating an online community. And then we also close it by creating affordable courses on real estate, stocks, business formation, taxes, credit, all that different stuff. And they're all related and they're all symbiotic and they all kind of promote each other. So as I'm creating content for my podcast, that promotes the blog, that promotes all these other things that I have going on. So try a bunch of things. And then once you find that hot product, that becomes your focus. You can't find what's hot. The Bible, I was so happy when I saw this scripture because I talk about it all the time. I say, you got to launch a bunch of things. So take an inventory of your skill set, take an inventory of your knowledge. What do you know that you might be taking for granted that people might find value in? Yeah, you might be working in tech, but maybe you also do real estate on the side. Maybe you also have a Turo course. Maybe you also have some other things that can teach people how to make money. So the Bible says, cast out multiple seeds or something along those lines. It says, because you never know which one is going to prosper. I didn't expect the options course to prosper, but it did. And so you in your mind don't know what business idea that you have is going to prosper. And so you got to just put it out there in whatever form it is. And when you find that one that's prospering, double down on it, double down on it, double down on it, and that becomes your focus.
We'll be right back with the DJTMC Financial Expert Series after this message. Stay tuned.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is DJ, the money coach of our hometown in Chicago. And right behind me, freedom ain't free. You got to demand justice. You know what justice is? It's financial independence, consumer debt freedom, and it's the pom-pom lifestyle. So come join us on the Beaches of the World Club, and let's go all around the world and be free. 100% me, and not a second-rate duplication of somebody else. I'm DJ, the money coach. Come join us in the pom-pom lifestyle. I'll see you soon.
Hello, my name is Clarence. I'm with Great Lakes Property Management Group, and I just wanted today to give a testimonial on the ABCs of Wealth by Dale Duransburg. I call him DJ. Just wanted to say, as I was reading this, I was expecting something a little different. I thought it was going to be all nuts and bolts, because that's the kind of guy Dale is. Dale is all about the numbers, the numbers, the numbers. Well, this book turned out to be both a little bit of nuts and bolts, but a lot of motivation. So if you're someone that's on the fence, looking to get started, just trying to figure out how to do something or what to do, get motivated to get off that couch, I recommend you pick up this book. It's going to get you to move. The motivation, the nuggets that are in here is going to definitely help you in all things that you do in life. Good job, Jill. Love you, man.
Woo, man, that is amazing. That's a drop. That's a drop the mic, because it is funny that you never know what's your go-to product until you put it out there. It kind of reminds me of Microsoft, and people used to always say, man, Microsoft put out a crappy product. But you know what? They purposely put stuff out there for you to complain about it. You tell them what's wrong with it, they come back and reiterate it, and you buy it again. And they've done that to the tune of being worth, almost $1 trillion valuation. So I think a lot of times when people, now I'm talking to the people who are super highly educated, where the conundrum is you got to be perfect in school to be great, but that's not what you do, because perfect is the enemy of great. The one advantage that the people in our community on the urban side has is that don't have a high level of education, so they don't have to think about stuff a lot. Just get out and do it with integrity, with focus, and you'll find your secret sweet spot and drill it to China, man. I mean, that is so important as an entrepreneur and having the flexibility. So to round this out, and man, I really appreciate you spending your time with us, Charles, because this is amazing. How did you build valuable joint venture partnerships to actually give yourself the platform exposure that you needed on the social media? And how did you get those interviews onto podcasts? And then when you went and did it your own, because you said you first were on a lot of people other shows were doing a lot of share things, and then you branched off and did your own stuff. So tell us what's the secret sauce or the formula to that, if you would mind sharing some nuggets with us.
Man, say yes to everything. All of us are getting presented with different opportunities, and we're trying to fit it into our mind. Last Wednesday, I got a really cool invitation to speak on a panel with, I got an opportunity to speak on a panel with for Terry Igioma. On that panel was Mighty Woodard.
Awesome.
Right.
Stock
it was
lady,
Mighty.
yes.
It was King Ashley, and it was Connie S. Falls. And it was just interesting because I was just at a conference like a week before that, and I was at the King Ashley Ann conference, and Connie S. Falls was speaking there, and Ashley Ann was putting on the conference. And Mighty Woodard, I met him a few times, and then it was like all these dope people that I just get to meet because I just say yes all the time. And so I think that we as a community, we have a community that doesn't on paper have value, meaning that if you look at the property in the area, it's depleted. The values aren't there. If you look at the business community, it's depleted. There's not a lot of value there. And I'm talking about in areas like Detroit, areas like Compton, areas like Oakland, maybe areas in Dallas, like where there's not a lot of Black value externalized, but there's a whole lot of value internalized. We're very valuable and intelligent and capable people. But what you got to do is you got to give your value to the world. So the way that I was able to network and meet people is I gave value to them. I didn't show up and ask for anything. I just gave value to them. Interestingly enough, one of the ways that you gave value is you guys sent me a bottle of your tequila. And I was like, man, like I got to make sure I pay them back. I got to make sure that I give them some value for the value that they gave to me. And so one of the things that I've always built my brand on is seeking to give first, lead with the give, and then get mine back on the back end. Even if I don't get anything back on the back end, I still made my community more valuable because I gave them some information that I had. I gave them some knowledge I had. I introduced them to somebody who can help them. And if all of us do that, we're all going to start to rise. We've seen it. We've seen where we have this information sharing economy where people are teaching people how to create trucks. Now people are over here starting trucking businesses, teach people about real estate. Now people are out there with real estate companies, they're landlords, they're flipping properties. We're becoming more valuable because we're adding more value to each other. And so when I did that is I just created a bunch of friends in the process. The podcast in itself is a networking tool. When you have a podcast, you create a friend for life. I don't know why it works, but it just does. Literally the most successful people are, I know Terry because she was on my podcast. And then I became an affiliate for Terry, and I've done well working with Terry. We made a lot of money. And so now we're just connected at the hip. Even Ashley Ann, like Ashley Ann was on my podcast. Doug Depp was on my podcast. Andre Hatcher was on my podcast. All these really dope people on my podcast. And so I just sought to just give value. And in turn, I was like rewarded with what I gave out. So I would just tell people like, that's what it is whatever knowledge you have, find a way to give it. That's what Eric Thomas said. Whatever knowledge you have, find a way to give it away. That's how he built his brand. I just follow the greats. Eric Thomas became a household name. You want to know why? Every single Monday, he gave you a free motivational video. Every single Monday. And he became a household nationwide name. And so I was like, well, how can I do that? I can create a podcast. I can do an investment club that's free. That when we charge you anything, we're going to show up. I'm going to give you my knowledge and we're going to make some money together. Like I can give you value. So what is a tangible way that you can give value? Don't just be out here helping people on a one-to-one. What can you do to give value at mass? what does that look like? It might look like a podcast, it might look like a blog, it might look like whatever. But if you seek to give value, your value is going to increase. People are going to look at you as a valuable person. And that's all I've ever done, is also supporting people when they're in crisis. Like if I've seen people who might have been getting slandered unjustly, might have been getting like talked about crazy, I would always stand up for them because they needed somebody to stand up for them. And so I would always step in that gap for them, whoever they might be. And then you kind of create a friend in that. I didn't really do that to get anything out of it. I did it because it just made sense. People were slandering somebody in their business unjustly. I got to step in because I know what it's like to be in business. I know what it's like to have a product that might not be complete and people are talking to you like you did it on purpose. I know what that's like. So I got to step in and help people. And also because I just wanted people to be that for me. I've always wanted to have somebody who would show up and support what I had going on. And it was hard when you're a new entrepreneur and you got these ideas, you're looking for support and nobody's giving it to you. I didn't want anybody else who was coming behind me that was trying to do what I did to feel that. And so I've always tried to support them, promote them. I got a lot of help from that with just promoting other people. I'll literally use my platform to share your stuff, use my podcast to promote your stuff. And I created a lot of friends that way as well.
Oh man, dude, that is awesome, man. Big time. So I'm gonna wrap it up. What we do on our show is, we thank our expert interviewee, which you are, and man, I learned a ton. It's almost like a crash course, business 303 at the end of the day. When you're in your junior, senior year of college and you're taking your mass, core curriculum to your degree itself, I felt like I just got that from you. So I want to thank you for that. And what we always do when we close out is we get our perspective from what Nick has learned from, because Nick's a high school English teacher and he gives his perspective. So Nick, hey man, chime in. We're gonna wrap this up in like 2-3 minutes and tell us what you learned and what kind of copious notes, because I took a bunch of notes while Charles was dropping these awesome golden nuggets to our audience. What did you get from it, Nick?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the first thing is, I got a reminder of what I need to delegate to the VA, once we bring her on. But I pretty much summarized this whole conversation into one theme, which is value. I heard that a lot, in this conversation. Of course, most recently with providing value to the masses through podcasting or blog writing, but just value across the board, podcasting, the blogging, the content, the importance of putting out lots of content, and not just any content, but content that offers value. Then of course, as an entrepreneur, when you have your product or your service, that offers value as well, and you're offering more value than the price of your product or your service. So that's how I would tie this conversation together in a nice bow, is emphasizing that importance of providing value.
Oh man, that's right to the point. So with that said, hey, Charles Oglesby III, aka Todd Capital, Todd Billion, give us your wrap up and where we can find you, and where are you expecting to grow your complete enterprise and your dynasty in the next 5 years? I know everybody always asks that, but for some reason, I know you are going to hit yours, and we'd love to know how you plan to get there and what it's going to look like.
Yeah, if I had to leave people with the gem, man, I would say that, and I tell people this a lot, is business isn't a job alternative. A lot of us think that it's either job or business, and I don't think that that's the case. Business is about more than just like saving yourself. It's going to save your family. It's going to change and uplift your community. And so business in a lot of ways is also part charity or part philanthropy. And so we need your business. We need your knowledge. I have friends, man, they have education degrees. They have so much value. And instead of giving their value to the world, they give it to the university. And they're out there and they're just like, hey, I just got a job. And they're like, man, do you know that what you know, if you were to take that out of the campus and spread that around with all these people who are maybe not at your school. Like, for example, they're on a college campus. The Black population at these college campuses in California isn't that large. So if you were to take that off the college campus, I know my friend, he's a principal or a vice principal, one of the two, and he just sees how African-American students who have parents that aren't that informed about the system get taken advantage of all the time. So you could do something that could have African-American students nationwide be better informed, better equipped to go in there and stand up for themselves and their rights and their children, which then gives them an overall better experience in school. You can't do that on the campus. You can't, because they're going to have limitations on what you can do, what you can say, when you can say it, and when you can do it, or if you can even do it at all. And so the world needs you. The world needs you if you are in taxes, if you're a tax accountant, if you're all these different things, the world needs you. And so your business isn't just about making money. And I think that's a big part of the reason why they put a lot of Black folks in jobs, is because they're saying, hey, bro, you got a lot of value. We need to bring that in-house so that we can capture the value. We can get that $1 million and just give you the $100,000. And then we'd also get to make sure that the value goes to our community and our people, meaning the Jews or the whites or the Asians or whoever owns that firm. And so that's why I'm so passionate about business ownership for us as a community, is we need businesses. So that'll be the gem that I'll leave them with. I want to say you asked where can
we get you? And you know what? I know you got a sale, so drop us a sale so we get our people, man, so they can learn that pom lifestyle. Because man, it would be a travesty if we don't give them a sale of some of this value that you've been spreading over the last an hour and 20 minutes, man. And I appreciate you going a little bit overtime, and I almost feel like we need to do a part 2 sometime down the road. So yeah, where can we find you, and what sale can we offer our people to add some value to share some love?
Cool. So you can find me on Instagram at Todd.capital. That's the business page. That's where we have the most information. And we also are having a conference coming up in November. So, I mean, if y'all want to fly out to Los Angeles, we'd love to have you speak. It's going to be, I want to say the 19th and 20th. We can work that out off camera, but that'll be really cool. In terms of the sale, I would say we can do a freedom pack. We'll do it for $74. You can use the code POMPOM, and we'll hook you guys up. But I definitely appreciate coming here. It was a long time coming. It's an honor to be here because, I mean, you were in there rocking the show. And so it's cool that you wanted me on your podcast. So I appreciate being here, man.
Man, we love it, man. We love it. And thank you very much. So, hey, guys, we end our show as always the same way. On behalf of our esteemed guest, Mr. Charles L. Oglesby III, and AKA Todd Billion, Todd Capital. If you don't know a financial expert, when you see one, you have just seen one without a doubt. So I would get all his information, and I would just, share the love, and don't be afraid to just go forth and do something is at the end of the day. And that's one of the reasons why we do these financial expert series, is that you need to understand that in order to get to where you're going, you got to start with the first step first and foremost. So I want to thank you, Charles, for coming on to the show. Thank you for providing the promo. Guys, we're going to have that down at the bottom, all the links that you can get access to the program, and that'll be pom. And on behalf of my business manager, Nick Westbrooks, hey, this is DJ the Money Coach. You've been watching the Financial Expert Series, and we end it the same way all the time. We wish you a pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind, and we want you to come join us on the beaches of the World Club, and we'll see you next time on our next show. God bless. Hi, I'm DJ the Money Coach. Don't touch that dial. You want to become financially independent? You want to have consumer debt freedom? You want to have passive income, learn how to build a business, acquire real estate, and achieve the lifestyle you deserve in 2021? Well, hit that link below right now. We've worked with over 20,000 people in the past 2 decades, helping them become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 30 to 60 points in 30 days or less, and help them acquire businesses through real estate, taxes, and a network of experts just like me. So you'll get a complete 3-hour, 18-module course called Family Finance 101 that'll teach you A to Z how to become consumer debt free, credit worthy, and put you in position to become a certified entrepreneur. We'll also give you a complimentary consultation with me that's a $500 value. Why would you want to do that? Because I have already achieved that, and I can help you achieve your American dream in 2021. Hit the link below get the free webinar and the complimentary consultation, and I'll see you soon and wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us.